welcome to On the Spectrum. I'm Larry Walters and I'll be your host today. Today we welcome as our special guest Jaime French, Director of the Step Forward programs at Gateway Community College. If you're a student on the spectrum heading to college, I think you're going to enjoy hearing from Jaime today about the programs, the benefits they offer, and how to apply for them. So Jaime, let me welcome you to the program and thanks for coming.
Hi Larry, thanks for having me.
Great. So to get started, tell us about the program. What is it and why did it get started?
Well, about 10 years ago, Gateway Community College hired me to start a one-year transition program for young adults who had mild cognitive disabilities. The reason why they wanted to start the program was they found that there were many students coming to Gateway who needed a non-credit career preparation program to teach employability skills and learn how to function in the world after high school. I did that for 6 years, and then 4 years ago we began the Step Forward 2 program, an opportunity for those who have finished Step Forward 1 to continue on and go and take classes at Gateway Community College. We also have a program called the High Functioning Autism Program, which is pretty much the same as the Step Forward 2 program, but those students come in and they are allowed to take classes at Gateway. Both programs have a career, I should say a vocational aspect to them, where they are allowed to take, they're allowed to do internships in the community. So they come to class Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to 2:30 and do an internship on Tuesday and Thursday.
Great. So overall, these are programs that are for, as you said, for students who have mild cognitive disabilities. Are there perhaps disabilities that the programs are not appropriate for?
Usually the students have, I should say, for the first year program, our students typically fall in the borderline range of intellectual functioning. Mm-hmm. A 70 to 85 IQ is very typical. And within that, there are many types of disabilities that fall in that range. And many of the students that we see are on the autism spectrum. The program is not really suitable for students that are much lower than that 70 IQ because of the academic rigor that we have and the amount of academic work that we require and the level of functioning that we require on a college campus. So a student needs to be prepared to be independent on the campus with supervision, but minimal supervision.
Right, okay. And all of these programs, are they held at Gateway in New Haven?
Yes, we have 2 classrooms for each program. Like I said, the program runs 5 days a week. Tuesdays and Thursdays, the students do their internship piece. Some do it on campus. Others do it in their home community. We get students from all over the state, ranging from as far away as Westport to this year we have a student from Granby. So quite a wide range of folks from all over the state.
Great. So we'll get into the specifics of each of the programs, but overall, how has the program been helpful to students?
Well, I think what it does is it gives students an age-appropriate environment to transition from the high school experience or their high school into the adult world of both work and education. Some of the students in Step Forward 1 are wanting career preparation, employability skills, soft skills, that kind of thing, and they opt to do Step Forward 1, and then they move on to the adult world of employment. Some of those students really want to do employment as well as more schoolwork and more further their education. So they're invited to come back to Step Forward 2, where they're allowed to take some classes or do some online learning, depending on their aptitude. It helps them learn how to self-advocate because in higher education, unlike high school, the students must go and advocate for themselves and ask for assistance. And so that's what we do mainly in Step Forward 2, is we're really getting those students ready to interact with all the natural supports that are available at the campus and to really access those services.
Right. So let's take a step back and understand each of the programs. So first you mentioned there's the Step Forward 1 program. And I think you said that was a transition program.
Mm-hmm.
So this is transitioning from high school to college?
Correct.
Or high school to a work environment?
To a work environment.
I see.
Both 1 and 2 are considered transition programs because many of the students are still linked to their school district when they take our programs. In some cases, they go through 2 years through their high school, funded through their high school.
Gotcha. And the program runs consecutive with the academic year? It's a 9 to 10 month kind of program?
The first year program is consistent with the high school calendar. So it's a 10-month program, starts in late August, early September, and goes to mid-June. The second year program really aligns itself with the Gateway calendar because there we're really going, okay, now you're more in the college environment. So it's really leading them from high school to kind of high school / college to college. So that's the bridge that we're building there.
Okay, that makes sense. So the focus then of the Gateway Step Forward Program 1, let's talk about that for a second. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you're really looking at, focusing on, and really helping the student with in that program?
Well, the big thing for students and for the focus of that program is basically to get students prepared to be independent adults, okay? And that takes place in a couple different ways. We do a lot of emphasis on interpersonal skills. The students are required to do a lot of public speaking in their class. They're required to do PowerPoints every week on topics of current events. That's designed to get them comfortable, to be able to articulate their ideas. It gets them ready to go on job interviews, and it also gets them ready to be in a college classroom if they so desire. The other piece is the vocational piece. They're on an internship site where they have to interact with employers and they have to interact with coworkers. We also teach a lot about soft skills, teamwork, all of those keywords like you're a team player, you have leadership skills, those kinds of things. So we're really trying to focus on a lot of the soft skills that are needed for employment. And of course, those skills, Larry, are also needed in college. They're needed everywhere. Right, so right. It's really about and putting the onus back on the student to say, you're driving this train here. You're the one it's your life. In high school, a lot of stuff is done for students. By design, they have an IEP and they go to a PPT and everybody's there to talk about them. We're trying to take them out of that kind of I'm being helped mode to I'm going to help myself mode. So that's really the first year is designed to really sort of just get that mindset changed, that paradigm shift, and to move on to the next level.
So structurally, how does it work? Take us through a typical week. What's a week
Okay.
look like for a student in Step Forward 1?
Step Forward 1, the students would be in a cohort of students, meaning they have usually 5 to 10 students a year in that program. They arrive at the college at about 9 o'clock and they go till 2:30. And within that time frame, they are with 2 teachers and they go through different topics. They could be doing financial literacy. They could be doing current events, nutrition and fitness. So we have all sorts of topics that we go throughout the year. And they're with that cohort for the day. They do take breaks during the day, and they go off, and they're able to access all of the amenities, if you will, of the college. So they can go to the cafeteria. They can go to the fitness lab. They can go off campus and go to Starbucks or wherever you'd like to go. It's in an urban, nice a safe urban environment where there's a lot to do. And once the students are comfortable, they can come and go as they please as long as they get back to class on time, and that's a skill we're teaching. So basically, that's their day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Fridays are usually designated for field trips, so we do a lot of community activities, community service, travel training, getting on the train or bus, and that kind of thing. Tuesday and Thursday is the time when our students are placed on their job site, and that is determined by the employer and what the restraints are for transportation and that kind of thing. So they would work usually typically 3 hours per day on those days. The Step Forward 2 students and the high-functioning autism spectrum students are really going to have a less structured day, and that's intentional because we really want to take out the structure and have the students make the structure themselves. So there's a little bit more downtime, a little less of us, kind of putting them through each hour by hour. So their typical week would be Monday and Wednesday. They're going to have their college classes or whatever learning activities they're doing. They would then meet later on in the day for a college 101 seminar that our staff teaches, which is time management, pretty much college survival skills, and that's going to happen on Monday and Wednesday afternoon. And then Friday, our students are do an interpersonal skills seminar, which usually takes place out in the community. We're really going out and doing trips and having our students be in social situations, whether it's at campus, in the community, what have you, just to practice interaction.
Now, with the Step Forward 1 program and students, these are not college classes yet, right? These are courses specifically to the program itself.
In Step Forward 1, it's all non-credit, and it's all taught within our program.
Gotcha. In
Step Forward 2, that's when we kind of break it out. We have the college classes and then our own seminars. So it's sort of a hybrid, if you will.
Give us an example, perhaps a student that you may remember in the Step Forward 1 program. How has it been successful for them?
Well, a lot of the students in the Step Forward 1 program go on to Step Forward 2. So in that way, that's a successful progression. And then and some of them have gone on to complete degrees or certificates. So there are so we've had some nice, we see Step Forward 1 students that we've had several years ago still on campus taking classes. And, they're doing it at a pace that's for them, usually one class a semester. So we've seen that. And some of them have exited Step Forward 1 and not gone to 2 because they want to go to work. And so they may transition into an adult agency like Bureau of Rehabilitation Services or another agency that will help with employment. Mm-hmm.
So you touched on a little bit the Step Forward 2 program, so let's take a little more in-depth look at that. Mm-hmm. How does that specifically differ from the Step Forward 1 program? What are the requirements and the eligibility, and what's the key focus for those students?
Especially with the high-functioning students on the spectrum, we really want to see, many of them do not require the traditional Transition 1 program where it's life skills and more. The level of that academically would not be suitable for someone who's used to the rigor of high school classes that may be ready to go to college. And so those are the students that would typically go into Step Forward 2 without going to Step Forward 1. And then we've had some students who really have had the curriculum somewhere else. They may have gone to a school elsewhere that had the Step Forward 1 curriculum, and we feel it would be redundant to have them go through it again. And their ability to rise to the occasion is there, and so we skip them over that.
So in the Step Forward 2 program, the student actually has a chance to take some college classes along with the supportive services that you were talking about, right?
Right.
And then that helps him in his courses.
Yes.
So in the Step Forward 2, the student is actually starting to move into an academic discipline to start to learn a certain area? Is that the way it works?
It depends. They come in all, in different places. Some are very, very focused on what they want to do. Like we have a student now who's going to do biology and went right into a biology class and is doing an internship in the biology lab. So she's super focused. And then we have some students that haven't quite arrived yet at what they want to do, but they know they want to take some classes and see what it feels like. So they're going to take maybe some remedial classes in math and English, and they don't have to decide yet because a lot of freshmen don't decide their major, so we're okay with that. But as they go along, they may start to feel like they're starting to eliminate some possibilities and coming up with some ideas. In the Step Forward 2 program, we do a lot of vocational exploration, career exploration. So students take assessments and they learn about if they have a career goal, what classes and majors would be appropriate for that at Gateway. So it really helps them to mold that for them.
How do you go about coming up with goals? You mentioned that's an important part. How do you do that?
Well, a lot of times it has to do with the school district, and our goals are typically, very straightforward. It's to learn how to self-advocate, learn how to, follow through with assignments and with, responsibilities, meet deadlines, those kinds of things. They're all very universal goals in a lot of ways.
Now, does the week for a Step Forward 2 student differ substantially from the Step Forward 1? Is it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday classes and Tuesday, Thursday vocation, or is there other things that?
Pretty much, it's very similar, except that a Step Forward 2 student in year 2, they're going to have a class, then a break, then a class, and a break. Much like a college student, a typical day on a college campus, you usually don't go from one thing to the other. You have, you may come and go. And so they have less structure, and therefore they have to plug in things in their schedule that makes sense for them. So it may be study time if they get there early. It may be going to tutoring because our program mandates that they go to tutoring. They may have to take a test in the disability office, and that may take 2 hours versus an hour in the classroom, so they have to make arrangements for that. So there's a lot of management of time, and they need to, with their accommodations that they're given, they have to manage that. And that's where we come in. We're there in the background, kind of like sort of scaffolding, if you will, where we're saying, okay, did you go do that? Remember? And we back off as we can, because we really want the student to be doing it themselves.
That sounds like a great word, scaffolding. So you're there to help them, provide some structure, but let them really take the lead.
Right, right.
Now, I would imagine in the Step Forward 2 program there are extra requirements, since it sounds like a more advanced program. I remember reading that there was something about an intensive internship in a field of interest. How do you go about deciding those things?
If the student has done Step Forward 1 and they're moving to Step Forward 2, what we would like to do is ideally have them continue on, if they want to, continue on with that internship, but increase the amount of hours and the amount of responsibility. Take away some of the supports if they have had supports in that area. But we often have students that are very focused in Step Forward 2 with a career goal. So the example might be that a student has, if they're interested in a certain area. We have one student who, for example, is in IT department because that's his whole focus. So he's up in IT. That's a little bit of a higher level internship as opposed to maybe working in another office on the campus or in an entry-level retail environment. So
for a Step Forward 2 student, when they complete the program, is full college classes the next step for them?
It depends on the student. I typically see that they don't take a full course load, and there's a lot of reasons for that. There could be mitigating circumstances like disability-related circumstances like anxiety or maybe other things in their life that compete with the time that they spend at Gateway, and a lot of students with disabilities will take a reduced course load because they have to factor in extra tutoring time and also extra time to complete work, and also, like, for instance, extended amount of test time. They're going to be they may be in the disability office taking tests, so they have to factor in all those things. So often a reduced course load is key.
Now, you mentioned that there was of the two programs, the Step Forward 1, the Step Forward 2, and you also mentioned the high-functioning Autism Spectrum disorder program. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, basically, they kind of came to get Step Forward 2 and the high-functioning program are one and the same, except that we have the Step Forward 2 students are from Step Forward 1, logically speaking, although we have a couple that skipped over. And then we invite students that are very academically qualified, and I use the word qualified because they haven't had a lot of modifications in high school. They've been able to take high school classes and do the curriculum with almost no modifications. And by modifications, I mean they haven't had extended deadlines or they haven't had to do alternative assignments. So they are prepared for the rigor of college. When you're in higher education, they don't modify, they accommodate. And by accommodate, they will give you extended time for a test. They may give you a note taker or some assistive technology like a tape recorder or a smart pen, which we could do another show on all of that. But they don't say, well, you're not good at multiple choice, so we'll let you do an essay, or you have a disability, so you can have 3 weeks longer to do an assignment. That doesn't happen in higher ed, and so we want to have students really prepared for the expectations, and so that would be a requirement that they understand that and be able to work to that.
You mentioned that the high-functioning program is similar to the Step Forward 2. So is the typical week the same for a student?
Yeah, they're pretty much a cohort of students, But the Step 4 2 students, they may, and not always. I mean, it's not clear. It's not always clear who went from Step 4 2 to, and there's a lot of reasons why some folks start at one level, which gets kind of rather complex. But some of the Step 4 2 students really aren't even ready to go to college yet, but they want to continue in their learning. And so what we do is we set them up with some online learning opportunities, which is less demanding than a college class, but yet requires them to work independently and meet deadlines and self-monitor their progress. And then some of those students are also they may start out that way and transition into a remedial class. Gateway Community College has a lot of remedial classes because a lot of our students in general need remediation before they get to college level. And then we have some students that come in and they start right at college level. So there's a continuum in that program.
Let's take a second and drill down on the mechanics. Let's talk about the application process.
Okay.
How does that work, and how do you decide what program is suitable for what student?
Okay. Well, it is not an exact science. That's why I kind of like it. It's a lot of interaction with the student and parents and school district. Ideally, the best way to access our program is if the school district is looking to send a student to the program as a transition program to meet those transition goals. And so the best possible way to do it is have everybody on board and say the school district wants it, the parents and the student themselves. That's the perfect world we'd like to live in. That doesn't always happen, but if that can happen, what we would do is we'd have the school district come in, look at the program, and say, okay, I have a couple students in mind that would fit this perfectly. They usually do that by visiting and sitting in on a class, both Step Forward 1 and Step Forward 2 in the high functioning program.
So most students that apply typically get in and they go right into the either 1 or 2
right.
of the program.
Right. And then we also talk to parents and we talk to the student and invite the student in to sit in. We also look at documentation. Okay, we like to look at psychoeducational evaluations. I even sometimes will go out to a high school and observe a student in their high school to see. So it's a lot of interaction and it's a lot of discussion with the school district and the parents and the student themselves to see what is their goal. What do we feel their maturity level is? What are their academic abilities? So there's a lot of factors. And once we kind of decide on which program, then they do an application piece, which is,
like most applications.
Yeah, recommendations and application and
a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, pretty much.
What's the cost for the program, and is each one the same or are they different?
They both are the same. The program is $21,000 per year. In the second year program, the additional cost, there would be an additional cost for classes taken at Gateway because that's in a credit division. The $21,000 is for all the supports and the seminars that we teach.
So as the program continues, you balance the academic components with the vocational components, and I would imagine there's somewhat of a shift in there, or do you have vocational components throughout the
vocational programs start ideally about a month into the program, so usually at the end of September, and they go throughout. And the vocational piece is both programs throughout the year.
So if a student goes through the program, perhaps he goes through 1, he goes through 2, and he's all done, and he was to say, the program was a success for me because of what? What would he say?
Well, I think one of the big things I've seen, I'll give you an example. There's a student who came last year, went right into Step 4 2, a very high-functioning young man from Stamford, and he came back this fall, and his dad was with him, and his dad said, I really wish that he would go to Norwalk. It's so much closer. And I said, well, I get it. And the student said, I want to be at Gateway. And he had his Gateway T-shirt on, his Gateway hat, the regalia here. And he said, I know people here. I'm comfortable here. I know to go to Jamie when I need this and Ron when I need that. And the familiarity and I think the warmth of Gateway it's remarkable. We have a great community there. So I think students feel connected, and that's what we help them do, is feel connected to the Gateway community.
So if a student wanted to learn a little bit more about this, I'm assuming you have a website. Mm-hmm. Could you mention that?
It's www.gatewayct.edu.
Okay.
And they would, when they get to the home page, they could put in the search panel the Step Forward program, and it'll bring up our information and any press releases that we've had.
Could you also give your phone number?
Yes, it's 203-285-2505.
Good, good. So if you were counseling someone about the program, what would be some of the things that you'd bring out, some of the things you want to emphasize for them as they start to apply?
Well, I would want them to be motivated to do well and be ready to, we raise the bar high, and we do that because we really think our students are capable. And they need to be ready to sort of set aside the mindset of high school and be ready to move into the mindset of higher ed. But we do that with a lot of help and a lot of assistance, but we want the student to really want to be there. If the student doesn't want to be there, it's a hard road.
Right, I can imagine. Well, Jamie, this is great information. Any concluding thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, I mean, I really feel very fortunate that I get to work with students who, they're remarkable. They often just surprise me in so many ways. When they come into my program, sometimes they don't even look at me and they don't even speak, and by the end of the year, they're getting up at graduation and saying something about how much they've enjoyed the program. And so I just would welcome anyone to come and visit and meet our students and get to know what we do. And feel free to reach out to me if they want more information. Excellent.
Well, it sounds like a wonderful program. It sounds like you've got a great staff and great support for these students. So Jamie, let me thank you very much for coming and sharing with our audience. It's really wonderful.
It's been great to be here. Thank you.
Good, good. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed our show today and learning from Jamie about the Step Forward programs at Gateway, the benefits that they offer, how to apply for them, and also to get more information about them. We hope you join us again next time. And so from all of us here at On the Spectrum, thanks for watching and goodbye.
This morning on an early grave, I'm ready to say goodbye. Nothing left to say. Time to turn not to spend.